And I'm sorry, have we met?
Colleen, no, we have not. I'm Joanne Angeli.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi there, and I'm currently in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, another place I love.
It's a little warmer here than it is there, I think.
Well, I was just saying we had 62 degrees
Oh,
at last night until around 9:30, and now it's 45. So for us, this is really warm.
yeah, my husband's in Chicago. He said it was 60 there, 50 there yesterday, so that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, both of you have been on so many times. I just kind of assumed that you had met, so I apologize.
No worries. No worries. Colleen, are you an academic coach?
Yes. So I just moved down to, I can't say just anymore. I moved here a year and a half ago from New Jersey.
Okay.
So I'd originally had gotten started up in New Jersey, kind of doing stuff on my own. And then when I moved down here, I joined an educational consultant group. So they already had college counseling and subject tutoring and test prep tutoring, and they have someone else whose specialty is learning disabilities and ADHD, and someone who tutors those students. So I was kind of a nice fit into their group as another service that they could offer.
Oh, nice.
So, but so far I've just been doing individual clients through them, and I'm only just starting to kind of see how I can do some group classes, maybe either through at the office with the consultant group or maybe through some of the schools in the area. I'm just kind of getting it all together. How about you?
I just branched into academic coaching. I think I have 4 more classes left of 2.0.
Oh, good for you.
Not quite finished yet. But I went into coaching. I started my training October of 2015. So I left a 15-year career of nonprofit work doing college readiness and financial need-based scholarships.
Okay.
And so left that behind and have gone into this. I just finished 2 contracts with individual women coaching. I have 1 academic client, actually a middle school boy, and where I'm spending a lot of my time now is creating workshops, oddly enough. And long story, but I have a contract for this year doing parent life skills for a nonprofit. So I do it once a month with parents of middle school students. And so now for next year, I just got the contract a couple weeks ago for next year, and it's the parent life skills for the middle school parents. It's academic life coaching for the high school students, and then it's a college network program on Zoom that we'll be doing. So it's going to be 3 components. So
a second, maybe we did meet before on one of these AIM things. Did you talk about this last fall? Maybe?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if I was on the call or I just listened to the recording, but that's all sounding familiar.
Yeah.
So you're still doing that, so that's going well.
Yep. So that just expanded. So I really would like to get into the individual coaching some more. So it's kind of odd. We'll switch. So.
And we were just joined by Christina. Christina, could you introduce yourself? Well, I know you. I'm not sure that Colleen and Joanne are familiar with you.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I didn't have the access information, so I had to reach out to Amber. I'm Christina Granahan. I'm from Sudbury, Massachusetts, right outside Boston. And I live not far from Gina. Gina's the one who introduced me to academic life coaching.
And all right, well, next time I'm up in Massachusetts, we all have to get together.
Yeah.
Can you give a little background as to where you see the academic coaching evolving for you?
So actually funny because something evolved this morning. So I was trained by CTI. So I'll just say quickly, like I have a social work degree, and then I went to CTI and was trained as a coach in 2010. And I knew when I walked into CTI that I had this feeling that wouldn't this be a gift to kids before they have to pick colleges? That was like my whole thing around coaching. When I just thought it would be, if we could teach kids to figure out what's important to them before they have to choose colleges rather than data making that decision for us. And so I had seen Gina at a couple of Boston events, and I approached her and just introduced myself again and was telling her this, and she said, like, that's what I do. So Gina and I have been talking, and so I see kids younger and high school age privately, one-on-one, and I do some work. I've done work over the phone, not with academic life coaching, but more with college kids, and I'd like to sort of expand the tools that are in this curriculum in that way. And I love the idea of doing workshops. Like, I love the idea of doing workshops. It's something I have always loved. And just today, something came across my phone about an opportunity to do some coaching at a college that I think is for returning students. So it's really about coaching them through the process of how to be sort of lifelong learners. And they talk about it more from a motivation standpoint, but how do we get people to stay engaged and enrolled in school? So I can see using that.
Oh, fabulous. Well, we all have, can you still hear me? I'm not having something going on here with Zoom. Can you all still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Did we have somebody else join us just now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, this is Travis Parker from Franklin, Virginia.
Hi, Travis. Well, welcome. We were just getting started. Can you tell us a little bit about your focus?
Well, yes, I am going to be attending down in Orlando for the first time in March, which is a couple of weeks. And well, I'm thinking I'm on another different call. I'm thinking something else. I'm sorry. This is the
This is the AIM call for academic life coaching?
Right, through John, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that, because when I first saw it, I'm also getting involved with the John Maxwell team. You probably heard about how they have a leadership module. And when I saw the email, I automatically just thought it was one of those. But yes, I do remember being with John in the academic life coaching. I haven't gotten certified yet. I plan to do it. I did complete the whole program with John, and I completed it back in October.
Okay.
But right now, I am the Upward Bound director at Pawnee Camp Community College. I was a camp middle school counselor as well. But through the Upward Bound program, I deal with about 60 high school students from 3 different high schools, and majorly getting them into college. But they are first generation and low income students. So definitely the life coaching comes to be very, very important for them.
Absolutely. I think you'll find that the tools you gained as a life coach will be fantastic. I have that focus as well as Christina, who's also on our call, working with students to help them understand themselves before they make that college decision.
Correct.
Okay.
Travis and I were in the same cohort through academic life coaching. Hi, Travis. It's Christina.
Hey, who is this again?
It's Christina from our Monday morning
Christina.
class.
Yes, how are
I
you?
can hear your voice. Good, good.
All right. Well, Our focus today, we had a request to focus on workshops. So why don't we dive into that? And let me start by asking, when you hear the word workshops, what are you envisioning? Because, you know, a workshop could be anything from 45 minutes long to 2 days long. It could be a large group, a small group. What does workshop mean to each of you?
Well, the other thing is, by workshop, do you mean more of a presenting workshop, or do you mean doing group coaching also?
Exactly.
That's also a distinction that you need to make and you need to have in your mind before you're going forward, because those are two different things. I actually am interested in trying to actually do some group coaching. So
Okay.
set up something that is presenting the academic life coaching concepts to a group of students, and you know, so able to address more clients at a time, while still, you know, giving them value and having them have good takeaways from it.
Mhm. Okay. And group coaching and workshop might actually be two very separate conversations. Well, let's see what everybody's interested in, and we'll try to address everybody's thoughts or questions. Anybody else? Joanne, Christina, Travis?
I know that for myself, a workshop for me feels more like consultation than coaching. It feels a little bit like teaching a topic, but it doesn't mean that there's not coaching that happens. So it might be like a vision board activity, or pulling out any one or two or three of the tools that are in the academic life coaching workbook. And like how I hadn't thought about this question, Gina, before you asked it, but I could picture doing something with a group and enrolling individual clients after that. I can also and see continuing on with more group coaching, but a workshop feels like something I'm limited, and something with a fence around it, like some boundaries around it, and open-ended sort of group coaching.
Okay. All right. Travis or Joanne, any thoughts?
It's interesting. I've not spent a lot of time thinking between group coaching or workshops. I just keep calling them workshops.
Yeah.
And what I've been doing, like I had 4 of them this weekend, and I did core motivation, and it does feel very instructional. It does feel more like class time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've been trying to do is incorporate like the coaching examples with people that are there. So, you know, as they identified their core motivator, and then finding someone who was willing to participate in a little coach around that core motivator.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I've been doing it. But it's interesting because I kind of have been questioning myself, you know, am I looking to do more instructional coaching, if that's an option? So I think I'm right now, the phases that I'm in, I think I'm more workshop teaching instructional.
I think it's interesting, to Christina's point. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. You know, there's coaching that's taking place, obviously, given your example, in a workshop setting. I think it's, in my mind, it's more about, I guess, like Christina, you know, I've done workshops where I'm presenting topics and then trying to get, you know, individual clients from that after, or that's the next step, right? People who attended the workshop then, you know, enroll in coaching. But I'm also trying to explore now what happens if, you know, to actually get a group as a group, you know, clients in a group and coach them together, whether it be for, you know, one session or many sessions, or, you know, in some kind of progression.
Yeah.
And when I think of workshops, I'm pretty much, I kind of, first thing that comes to mind is giving out tools. So it's an opportunity to give kind of tools on a broad range to people in a group setting, tools to be able to take away from the workshop to be able to use and impart into their lives or what have you. But a lot of times the workshop, it'll kind of tell you how to use the tools and different things of that nature, but some tools have to be kind of specific to different students. So I think that that's where you can pick up different clients from the workshop, because they need kind of a little bit more one-on-one help from about the information that they got in the workshop. So workshops I see them as more group and more broad than the individual coaching.
We really, what I'm hearing is we have two different possible areas of focus. One is the workshop as an opportunity to let a group of potential clients or people get a taste of what coaching is, to learn a couple of tools, to learn something about themselves, as one as a way to help them understand what coaching is, and possibly as a way to help them be interested in working with you. And that's actually separate and distinct from group coaching, which would be where your time is dedicated to ensuring that all the clients in the group are moving towards their own objectives, and are each having individual insights and learning through the process of the group coaching. So that's why I wanted to get a sense of where is everybody when they think about what a workshop is. So where should we start, given kind of this range of interests?
I'm curious, I guess, what people have done, what has worked, for people. But I get it's hard to start there when you don't know if we have different objectives, or, and results. But anything in that, using the academic life coaching curriculum, anything that relates to that, I'm curious what people have done in groups.
Why don't we each share what we've already done? And you said you did 4 this past weekend?
Oh, Joanne said.
Oh, Joanne, I'm sorry. Joanne, you did 4 this weekend?
I did. I did, let me think. 2 of them were on core motivation. One of them was on goals versus outcomes. And then the one on Saturday was, the steps to learning, the learning and memory styles. So that was way too much. that was insanity. Pure insanity.
Could you share with us, perhaps taking one, either the one on the core motivation, the goals, or the steps, kind of, what did that look like? What did the workshop look like?
And the core motivation is the one I'm doing again tomorrow night. So it's kind of my way of getting out there. I'm not charging anyone for anything. I'm just doing them with hopes of, again, finding individual clients. But basically what I'm doing is using the habits, the personality traits, and core motivation, and stepping through defining habits, and then asking them, having them go through an exercise of what is a habit that they have and what's a habit they'd like to change, and then going through the 3 steps of doing that, and then eventually getting to the core motivation, and having them choose their top 2 or 3, and then kind of a coaching into about why that's their core motivation, and then using that core motivation document and working through with them about, okay, so here's your anger, your stressor, your triggers, if you will, and with the parents in the room, here's a great way to communicate with the helper or whatever, and if it's a parent and child, it's kind of fun because then getting them to understand how to better communicate with each other. So just using it that way right now. And right now I'm like, the ones this weekend were all 45 minutes, so they were quick. But I did it with the parents that I work with, the middle school parents that I work with. And we had 3 hours, but there were 75 people. And so then having them work within their tables, having them do it that way as well. So, coming back and coming back as a group and then going back to table, coming back and forth. So we were able to take it to 3 hours because, again, there were just so many people. So that's what I've done with core motivation.
Well, your model sounds very similar to when I started and I was doing workshops, I did some, that sounded similar to what you're doing, Joanne. Mine were very interactive. So it was really little time with me up in front of a PowerPoint talking. It was introducing a concept, and each person in the workshop had a series of worksheets to first establish what was it that they wanted to focus on, what might they want to change, what might they be curious about. Then we'd use whatever tool I was introducing, and that could be the Wheel of Life, it could be the steps of motivation, and there are lots of different tools. Having each individual go back to using that tool, and then conversations. And if it's a large group, triads or dyads or table conversations. If it's a small group, it could be a couple of one-on-ones to illustrate. And that gets to the group coaching techniques, Colleen. Actually, one of the techniques of group coaching is that if you have a group and if you're doing some one-on-one coaching with an individual in the group, to plant the seed with the group that I'm going to be asking Christina some questions. When I ask the question, I want you to be thinking, what's your answer to that question? So, really so that as the coaching evolves, each person is experiencing it themselves. And you give some time for each person to kind of digest and allow them to write down or in whatever way they want to process. And then having a dyad or a triad to debrief is another way to reinforce the learning. So Joanne, it sounds like my model was very similar to yours, although I tended to do more small group than large group.
And again, this is with the Pathways program that I'm doing. And so we started with values exploration. We went into the Life Wheel. It's a faith-based organization. So the third month, I think it was, we did, your life purpose with Christ. And so now we've gone into the core motivation, and next we're going to go into, now we have that, how do we communicate? And so it's to teach parents, to give these parents examples to become stronger parents.
So are you doing it with adults, or you said the adults and the kids were in the room together?
So that was a different thing. That was this weekend I was doing workshops to promote my individual coaching.
Okay, different from Pathways. Okay.
Yep, but then Pathways is a monthly program.
Okay.
With parents of middle school kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does one promote workshops? No matter what flavor it's going to take. Just curious what each of you have tried, and bounce some ideas off here.
I think this is the hardest part. It's really the hardest part, is how to do it, how to promote it. Um, I've been like stalking all of the libraries nearby within, driving distance, and found one that would allow me in as a private business that wasn't a nonprofit. That this area is just really restrictive, and so once I nailed down that library, I went out to that. It's a cute little town. I mean, it's not whatever, to their little downtown area. And I had my flyers, and I just went into every coffee shop and introduced myself and said, here are my flyers. Can I put one up? And here are my brochures, and really boots on the ground sort of thing. I also just joined a chamber of commerce out in that area. There's an area that I'm targeting that's kind of a high income area. So I went to the chamber of commerce, and I became a member so that I'd have that network. And they have a community festival at the end of the month, and they have 800 to 1,000 people that come through, and it's booths. It's kind of like a little trade fair, if you will, of businesses that are part of the chamber. And so I'm going to put my booth there and have to think of something catchy to get them to come into my booth. But this is the hardest part.
Well, if I could share an idea for that booth when you have that booth, and that is to have, as a way to collect information about the people who are passing through, have a raffle, where they put their card or a slip of paper with their contact information in a fishbowl or a box or something. And you'll be giving away, I don't know, 1 or 2 or 3 free sessions. And ask for their permission if you have a mailing list, and if you do that kind of communications, to be able to add them to your list. But if you have that many people, 800 to 1,000 people, you could get a couple hundred leads that way.
Right. That's fabulous. Thank you. Yeah.
So
that beats me standing in front of the table singing and dancing. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, any other thoughts? And I'll share some other thoughts that I have. Any other thoughts on getting the word out?
So I'm in a small business network in town, and so it's just a small group of us that we've met once. I actually didn't go to the second meeting. I think there's one this Sunday. So I've just talked with them about what we do, and it's just starting. So there's a Facebook page, and I actually thought about using that group and inviting them to almost using them as a beta group, or is that what it's called? Like ask them if I could do a workshop with them, just to sort of play with it. But I think when you get the word out to a few people, you then become someone who they might refer to, who they might refer people to you. And then the other, I actually have a pile of local, like the brochures that come out from adult community ed. So like Gina will know, like at our local high school and the surrounding high schools, I wanted to see what was offered, and there's generally like college prep stuff in there. So I thought about drafting something. I'm just slow to do it. I have like ideas, but the details is where I get stuck. And so I just haven't done it, but I want to see sort of what's out there already and how I could look at something a little different, doing something a little bit different.
And if I could piggyback on that, sorry, Colleen, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Christina, I just had a thought. I don't know who's in the small business network, but when I was in New Jersey, I did do a couple of workshops with a financial planner who was presenting to families about planning for college. And so we did, she invited me to speak at her, presentation also. So that was a good thing to do, because then you have someone else to share in the marketing. And, she obviously had a list of clients and contact people that she was drawing in. So that's something to think about too. If there's somebody like that, or, a tutor thing or a test prep thing, or if there's somebody else that's doing something that, kind of correlates, and you could do it together. And then
did you talk about whatever, academic life coaching or coaching, or did you actually do something with them in the group when you were paired up with this financial person? You were giving
Both.
presentations or talking.
So it was parents. You know, it was a presentation to the parents. So I spoke about academic life coaching, and then I did a Wheel of Life with them. You know, so that they got an idea of what coaching was all about, and they were taking away something. So it was like, oh, this work, you know, this is something valuable. Yeah. So that was another way to go. I always feel better when I'm not by myself.
Yeah. Thank you.
And some other alliances, you know, the financial planner, the tutors, the people who do test prep. Another could be college counselors. So thinking about people who work with your target audience of clients.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I have a cousin who also got trained as an academic life coach, and she got invited through she had a friend who was a pediatrician, and they were doing a panel kind of like on health and wellness for families, and she got invited to be part of that panel. You know, it was like a little workshop day thing. So that's another idea too. You know, another, you know, the healthcare field, you can align yourself with people in that field.
I also think like therapists. I have a friend who's a therapist, and we're working on making it happen, but in opening up a workshop in their clinic and just to their clients. So, and yoga studios.
Yeah.
Moms hang out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Also, I was going to say, with community colleges, a lot of the community colleges feel left out in the high schools a lot of times, or kind of the second or third or fourth choice. So a lot of times they are open to assistance in educating the community, but then they don't mind having, if they're sponsoring you or things of that nature, and you're just giving them a little tagline, they're trying to, market any way they can. So having a partnership through your community colleges is an opportunity too.
that's a really interesting thought. And what I might add is this is one that Christina's familiar with because she and I have talked about it, but college fairs. So for those of us who are focused on the college application process, there are some large national college fairs that are huge, that travel from city to city, but many high schools offer their own sponsored college fair. It's not private. I mean, they invite other students from other high schools, but it doesn't tend to be at one of the huge convention centers in the big city. So, for instance, at our local high school has one coming up on March 18th, and they are always seeking speakers and provide an opportunity to provide some collateral, to leave brochures, things like that. So that's another possibility, because then you have, for those of us who are focused on the college application process, these are students and parents who are engaged in that thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And are willing to pay.
And are willing to pay. Right. Yeah. And the what Christina had mentioned with the adult education is a strategy that I've seen several coaches use very, very successfully. At least in this area of the country, many of the high schools offer what they call adult ed or community education or continuing education, evening or programs where instructors come in for sometimes just one shot workshops or classes. Sometimes they extend over the course of weeks. And the school does all the marketing. So the school does the online marketing. The school provides the brochures to the community. So you don't get paid. You get paid a nominal amount, but it's really exposing you to a much broader community or a group of people than you might ordinarily have access to.
And also, Gina, when you were saying that, it made me think about, because I forget that we can do this with younger kids, but Park and Rec, right? So like they have all sorts of, at least in our town, all sorts of, it's not just outside activity, physical activity. They also have self-esteem building programs and stuff like that. And so that might be something to target.
In our town, if you want to use, say, Park and Rec, if you're using the town facilities and you're not invited in, like if the school invites you in, that's one thing. But if you're doing a program through Park and Rec, you have to have liability insurance. So, yeah, at least in our town, that's something to be aware of.
Okay, good, thanks.
And there was.
That looks like.
There was one other thing I was thinking of. So let's see, we were just talking about Park and Rec students.
Just as an aside, Christina, you can get liability insurance pretty easily through the ICF.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what, honestly, and I don't want to sidebar, but I have liability insurance as a social worker. My understanding was that we don't get insurance as coaches. But so I'm trying to figure out, is that about the work we do with them, or is that about like if someone gets hurt in the process of being in your workshop? Like, is it about them getting hurt, or is it about you doing damage as a coach?
They're two separate issues. Their professional liability is you're being sued because your client thinks you did something wrong professionally. Then there's also the coverage for somebody's coming to your workshop and they slip and fall on the steps and sue the building, and they sue you, and they sue anybody else.
Ah. And Park and Rec, you're saying, requires both, or just the latter?
So I actually didn't pursue it at that point enough to find out. Now I have both coverages, so I just given my insurance information, and so I don't know the answer to that.
I'm interested in it just because they've made such a big point in CTI about saying that there is no such thing as coaching for life, coaching insurance for coaches, because we don't give advice. So it's interesting to me, but it might be about covering. Anyway, I'll figure it out. That's helpful. Thank you.
It's not that expensive, and if you go through the International Coach Federation, it's, I don't know, I just renewed my policy. It's like $2 million for of liability insurance for, I don't know, maybe $350 if I recall. So it's not,
okay, thank you.
It's not that big a commitment.
Okay.
Oh, now I just lost it again. Gosh, there was one more place I was going to suggest, and I just keep losing it. So if it pops up, I will share it with you. But these, we have shared some good ideas here on places where you can offer workshops to get your name out. That's different from perhaps doing the group coaching. I think a lot of the places that we're talking about, well, the community colleges and the continuing education is where you might be doing some real group coaching. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. The last place, actually, this is where I really cut my teeth when I was a new coach. I gave workshops through our church. And I started with the youth group. And then some people in our church mentioned it to another church. So I ended up doing these youth group presentations at several churches in our area. And the focus was on helping the youth prepare for their mission trip. And we did core motivation to help them get to know themselves as well as each other, so that they'd have a better sense of how each of the people in the group might act or react to different situations, so that they had a better sense of what was their own individual leader style and the leader styles of others, and it provided a way to challenge them to step up to their leadership style. Yeah, so that was the main, there were some tangents, but that was the main focus for me in the beginning. So if you're involved in a church community, that's a thought. What else are you curious about?
Well, I'm always curious to hear for when you do workshops, what concepts you feel work the best, which ones you think you get the most impact with. Because it's interesting to me because everyone seems to come at it from a little different. So I like to hear what works for people.
Bye, Tom.
Well, I'm going to deviate a little from, I'll take the first stab at that. Some things I do that are not exercises from academic life coaching, because that you can take almost any of the exercises, or any of the tools. I often do at the beginning of the year a workshop for just planning your year. Let's take a look at your year. And you could do that for teens. You could do that in August or September, preparing for the new academic year, as well as the beginning of the second semester. For adults, doing it generally in January is a time when, many people are setting their intentions and their priorities. And so that's a group coaching opportunity, that's a workshop opportunity, and it tends to be something that people are interested in. For sports teams, you could do that. So here's another group coaching opportunity at the beginning before each season. So as they're starting each season, the focus of that could be kind of twofold. One is, what are their goals as a team? Who do they want to be as a team? And then individually, what are their individual goals? And what are they hoping to achieve as individual athletes? And in January, I sent out a set of questions, which I can send out again. That would be actually a very good starting point for that workshop, which is first a time of reflection, looking back on the past year, or looking back on the past season, or looking back on the last semester. What are you proud of? What did you learn about yourself? How did you grow as a student or an athlete? And then looking forward, what are your hopes? What are the challenges that you see? What support will you need to overcome those challenges? What would make you proud? Questions like that. And I actually, with my individual clients, when I'm first meeting them around the college application process, we actually spend a good portion of a session on those questions that you could make into a workshop. So if you have a bunch of students who are starting to apply to college, what are they hoping, first of all, what are they hoping to get out of college? Why are they even doing this? Have them think about the why of applying. Then for the process itself, you can do a future visioning exercise. It's September or October, November of your senior year. You just hit enter on you just submitted your last application. What would make you proud at that moment? what would you hope to have learned about yourself? What would make you feel that this was fun or enjoyable? What would be, then we might go back, then we might do a little, like shift into a little more, who are you hoping to be? What's a motto to carry yourself through this time? What's a visual that's, you know, the perspective, to capture the perspective you're going to want to be in? You know, you could play with that. And again, you could do that with athletes at the beginning of the season. You could do that at the beginning of the semester. All of those could be ideas for a workshop or a group coaching. Other thoughts?
I've done, so it's not necessarily academic life coaching, but I've done in my ongoing coaching groups that are not academic life coaching related, and in work groups, I've done a lot around the level 1, 2, and 3 listening. So, and I think it's really, I think that along with powerful questions and values can be a really powerful combination of, and then I will often end with future self. So, which is a really nice, for me, it's a nice place to end. People always feel like there's value in that, I think, too, and it's relaxing at the end. But it's just that combination I've done.
That's a nice combination. And for how long would that generally run?
So the last time I did it, so that particular model I did, I called it Coaching Skills for Non-Coaches. So that was a group of sort of paraprofessionals, and I did a 4-hour workshop. So 9 to 1.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a pretty small group, actually, but they really engaged in it. But I could see doing that with parents and students. Like I could see, like, even just the listening, you know, the listening and the value, like that stuff I feel like is really simple, but not easy, but it's a simple concept. And I think it really opens up your brain to hear your kid in a different way, or to hear your parent in a different way. And I've also used, the other exercise I've used actually a lot lately in groups, is the assumptions perspective, that circle of, for whatever reason, that has come up a lot in my groups. Whenever there's a challenge or a conflict, we just start going through that whole process.
Mm-hmm. And again, you're having people, you introduce the concept, but you have people do the exercise individually. Is that true?
In the 4-hour one, yeah, we would introduce the concept. I might model it, and then with someone in the room, and then they would all pair off and do it on their own and come back and talk about it. What'd you notice? And then there might be some teaching in that, but what, you know, that was mostly, and then, but the assumption thing, sometimes it's just me like asking all the questions and getting people to like, what are the assumptions you're making about that group of people in this moment? And so we just brainstorm it, and then we brainstorm the perspectives, and then brainstorm the activities. And you can sort of see the aha moment for them as the actions, you know, how's that influence the actions? And then you sort of lock in the learning at the end once we've gone through that whole thing. That is a lot of me asking questions and them responding. Yeah.
That's fabulous.
What did you say with, Christina, what did you say the format you used in the 4-hour one?
So it wasn't, I mean, so I called it for, I did the levels of listening.
Okay.
I'm not sure of honestly the order I did it. I think I did levels of listening. I moved into, I can't remember if I did values or powerful questions first, but those two happened next. And then ended with the future self and a debrief that was quick. But
And that
I
was
was
for
working with
coaches?
people. Say that again?
That was for coaches?
You know what? It was for, so it was an organization where I do group supervision. So it was professionals who are in the human service field. So they're not, some are clinicians. In that, I'm trying to think, in that room, there were no clinicians just because they weren't there that day. It was all mostly younger people, but working with clients themselves. And so I felt like in their work, they were very directive in what people should be doing, and that's what motivated me to do it. But I think you could use it. I mean, I've never done it, but I think it would be really powerful to use with parents and kids together, or parents or kids, you know, anything you want to shift about your relationship.
I'm doing my next workshop with the parents is on communication. And I was just trying to figure out what tools and what pieces I could bring in to do that.
Yeah, like I'd want to know what works for them, but I think that the listening and the powerful questions would be huge around communication. I'm happy to like share any of my, like I made documents and stuff. Like I have a folder that I distributed to them. They like to take away stuff. I'm happy to share that via email or something.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. I did the values exploration with them in the beginning, and I think the listening and the questions, powerful questions, would be awesome.
Yeah. I think about like what were my biggest ahas in the process of learning all this stuff. And the listening, I thought I was a really good listener. I was not a good listener. Like that still takes some like zen on my part before I get into a coaching call or before I work with someone. I have to sort of get into a place and set an intention to let go of all the noise and the stuff about me and my ego and the providing value and all that. And I still do it. I still do it every time I coach. And so if we could give parents or kids that same tool to get into level 2, I think it could be really powerful.
We did an exercise in CTI on powerful listening. I'm curious, Christina, if you did it, where you had a partner and you sat back to back so you couldn't see each other. Mm-hmm. And one person would talk about something that was on their mind for a brief period of time, 1 or 2 minutes. And then the person who was listening had, again, without seeing them yet, had to reflect back, what were they hearing? What emotion were they hearing? What really tapping into their empathy? What was going on for that other person? And giving you a real chance to listen for the energy and the shifts and interpret and see how you were doing with that. That
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I trained with CTI as well, so I remember that. Yeah.
I will sometimes, if I'm like, so my job is like I supervise social workers. Like it's like it's in the business world. The model is consultation, and if they have to, for some reason, most of their work is face to face. But if they have to do it over the phone, I will often suggest that they do it blindfolded, and just listen. Like, don't look at your surroundings, but have a session over the phone and even blindfold yourself. So, because from CTI too, like, I feel like you can hear people smile. I feel like you hear stuff that unless you're in that mode, you don't otherwise hear. Too easy to miss. I like the back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I think of anything else that would be good for communications, I'll let you know. But I think between the levels of listening and powerful questions.
How would you bring in powerful questions? How would you use that? With the group?
First of all, the basics of what is a powerful question. So an open-ended question. What is an open-ended question? So really getting away from the yes, no to the questions that start with how,
what,
and what, as opposed to, and staying away from the why questions. And
so more about teaching them about what a powerful question is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah,
Christina, what else would you add to that?
So I think there's 2 things. I actually just worked with someone last Thursday, and I said the next time you meet with someone, try going the whole session only asking a question that's 5 to 7 words long, no longer. Like, and then the other thing is that it goes hand in hand with powerful, with the levels of listening. It's like, drop it and do not speak, like that empty space, and being able to sit with the empty space, I think is important, which is impossible for me. And then the addendum to that is for clinicians, but I think it actually works for parent, like almost like the first answer doesn't matter, like, and what else? And what else? Like ask 3 times, you know, like, and ultimately you uncover something I think really powerful in that. But you just reminded me, like, I actually did another workshop for this same group of people on communication, and I did core motivation. I did the Enneagram. Like, so I took pieces out of, because it's, well, in that, there's a lot in the literature about relationships and how people communicate, how they receive feedback, how they deal with conflict. So you can get a ton of information just from, if someone knows their type, sort of where they might lean in. And I think the important part about that is like, it's not about what's better or worse. It's like, how do you get a common language together? And I think it mitigates your expectations for the other person. I use it in my marriage a lot. You know, it's like, if I connect by communication and I'm like, all over the place, but my husband connects by solitary time, making sense of it, and then coming back, I got to make room for that. And I think in a parent and a kid relationship, it's the same.
That's perfect, because we ended with core motivation and we didn't quite get through enough of it. So I think this is a great place to come back and refine that and then go into the levels of listening and the powerful questions. That's fabulous. Thank you for that.
If you send me your email, like I don't want to take up the time here. I mean, I'm happy to, but I did some other stuff around, like I had them practice giving feedback and receiving feedback, and I can tell you what I did,
okay.
You know.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm sorry.
It worked. You know, sometimes it doesn't work, but it really worked. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, I'm seeing at the clock that we are actually at 1 o'clock. This is a fabulous exchange of ideas. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
And we didn't really specifically get to the group coaching. Colleen, would you like to focus on that next time? Should we do more of a focus on group coaching?
Only if others are interested. If that's not everyone's focus right now, then that's fine too. But I certainly got a lot of great information today.
Huge information. Yeah. Thank you, Gina, for doing these.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
I do need to let you know I'll be doing this in April, so that will be on Tuesday, April 4th, and in May, whatever day that is. And then I'm going to be stopping. So, yeah, now you all are free to continue to organize. So with that, I'm going to ask you to be thinking about, are there some topics that you would really like to make sure we explore in April and in May? Okay. And we will do that.
Gina, will you send out that list of questions that you talked about, that you sent out in January?
Yeah, let me write that down. Absolutely.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you again. And I look forward to seeing everybody in April. Feel free to stay in touch if anything comes up in between.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.